All right, and we're back.
Yep, we are. Like 2 weeks ago, the last time we did a podcast.
Yeah, it's been a while, so we'll see what happens. But got a little bit to talk about here. Obviously, the NFL season started.
Devastating news about injuries like crazy.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is done for the year.
That's
Tore his
crazy.
Achilles last night. Yet they still ended up winning the game against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I don't know what the Buffalo Bills office was doing anyway.
Apparently, Zach Wilson just needed somebody like Rodgers to come in for him to turn into the quarterback that they thought they were going to take at number 2.
Yeah,
I mean, that absolutely blows my mind.
it's just absolutely crazy. And also, there's a lot of injuries. The one of the offensive tackles for the Browns out for the year.
Yeah, Jack Conklin has an MCL and ACL tear, so he's done. The Steelers are going to lose.
Dante Johnson.
Yep, Deontay Johnson's out a couple weeks with a groin hamstring injury. And then they also lost, Steelers also lost Cam Hayward on defensive line, so they're going to be struggling at that position
Ravens lost their running back, Dobbins, once again.
Yeah, his career is pretty much done, and it's sad to see that, especially how good he was at Ohio State. It's sad to see that he's already kind of done. Any other injuries we're missing?
That's a lot of injuries. I cannot keep up. I know the wide receiver for the Rams, I think.
Well, Cooper Kupp's on the IR.
Yeah,
he didn't play week 1.
There's a lot of hamstring injuries for other players I cannot remember, but there's too many injuries in the first week of the NFL season. I'm happy about the Browns, how they did against the Bengals. That defense,
Yeah, speaking of that game, that's kind of interesting that you brought that up because there was an article, I believe it was from NFL Network or NFL.com, something like that. Maybe it was ESPN, but they were doing power rankings or like reviewing week 1 or whatever. Yeah. They were saying, Deshaun Watson ran really well on the ground, but he only immaculated 157 yards and wasn't a really good throwing game. But then here's the crazy thing. This is how crazy the double standard is with the NFL and the bias that goes on in the NFL. The very next person underneath was Joe Burrow's review, and they said Joe Burrow, obviously the weather was a big factor and why he didn't play well. But then you just said that Deshaun Watson played shitty.
In the same weather.
But they didn't mention weather. Didn't mention that it was the weather's fault that he only threw 157 yards. But Joe Burrow, he only had 6 completions in the first half. The punter had more freaking punts than he had completions. Yeah. But hey, it's the weather. Can we stop this bias?
Yeah.
What's the excuse for Lamar Jackson and they're winning Baltimore?
Lamar Jackson struggled as well.
He was the second lowest QBR rating out of the AFC North in week 1.
So
Deshaun was number 1. Now he only was 66. Okay. Burrow, I think, was like a 48. Lamar was a 33 rating. I think Kenny Pickett was a 7 rating. Yeah. I mean, that's terrible.
And then they don't mention Deshaun Watson about this, but
no, they're not gonna. Why would they?
I like the first touchdown. What he did, run it. He threw a good to the tight end Bryant at the end. Almost in the fourth quarter. But
nice little sliding catch. I will say this: when you look back at some of the games and some of the stats. C.J. Stroud threw the ball 44 times, completed 24 of his passes, 50% completion. He wasn't terrible. Completion could have been better, but obviously he threw 44 times.
This is a rookie too.
He had 242 yards, no touchdowns, or I think 1 touchdown.
What about Tyreek Hill and Tua?
Well, real quick. But Lamar Jackson had, 120-something yards throwing, and he was 17 of 22, but no touchdowns and an interception.
It was, yeah.
If he throws more interceptions than touchdowns, or it's pretty much equal again, like it has been the last couple years, I don't want to hear anything about his MVP season anymore. Good, you had 1 MVP season. The rest of the years, you're either throwing way more interceptions than touchdowns, or you're pretty much back-to-back, or you have more turnovers than touchdowns. You didn't throw a touchdown against the Texans. The Texans.
Yeah. This is not good for Baltimore. It's not.
Baltimore's got to go to the Bengals now.
Yeah.
But the Bengals didn't play well either.
So who do you think will win?
Well, either the Ravens go 2-0.
I think the Bengals will beat them. Will it be in Baltimore or will be
No, it's in Cincinnati. All depends on weather, though, again, too. Because obviously, if it's like the weather was last game with the Browns and Bengals, obviously Lamar's going to play better.
So what's the excuse will be on Monday Night Football when the Cleveland Browns plays against the Steelers?
Actually, there's 2 games. Did you know there's 2 games Monday night?
I didn't know that. I thought it was only
No, Saints and I think it's Saints and Panthers.
What?
Yeah, Saints and Panthers at 7:15 on Monday, and then the Browns at 8:15.
How did they put it two games in the same?
That was because the NFL doesn't want the Deshaun Watson jokes.
Oh,
But it was okay for when Ben Roethlisberger went.
Let's talk about something else. Like,
It's whatever. It's when you're in prime time or whatever team you play for. That's what matters.
Did you see that game, the Dolphins, Tua and Tyreek freaking Hill?
That was a great combo, yeah. And the sad part is they only won by 2.
But it's a win.
Is there any game out there that 100% surprised you that you didn't think that team had a chance to win?
Was
there a game
I think Tampa Bay is one of them.
Against the Vikings, yeah.
Yeah. It's a new quarterback.
Baker Mayfield. Yeah.
He did a good job with Mike Evans.
He didn't play great, but he played well enough to get the win.
And beat them in Minnesota as well.
Minnesota's defense. Kirk Cousins fumbled twice and threw an interception.
So that means that Tampa Bay's defense is
they've always been good since Tom Brady came.
What about the Cowboys game yesterday?
That's the crazy thing. So when you look, or 2 days ago, you mean? So Cowboys, Dak Prescott, 13 of 24, 143, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And they won 40-0.
That defense crushed me in fantasy.
40-0. And the quarterback of the Cowboys didn't score a throw for any touchdowns or run for any, for the matter.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard had 14 carries for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, though.
Yeah.
I like that because I have him in one fantasy league.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm. Not the one we're in, though.
You crushed me.
I did. I crushed you bad.
So bad. Every single players I have, they struggle. Every single one of them.
You usually tend to struggle week 1. Usually.
So we'll see what's going to happen.
I will say the one that completely shocked me, and this is the one that I can't wrap my head around. How about the Rams beating Seattle 30-13?
And you see what happened to, what's his name, Metcalf, what he did to the
he shoved the
cornerback.
He messed him up a little bit.
Do you think he will be fine?
He probably will be fine.
No suspension.
They got bigger issues, though. I don't think it's suspension for that. I think tempers were hot that whole game. He's struggling. I think he'll get a fine. I don't think he's getting suspended for that. Not yet. If he does it again in the season, he'll get suspended.
Yeah.
However, like you said earlier, no Cooper Kupp. You would think Van Jefferson's the only guy getting targets, right? Listen to this. Puka Nacua. That's the dude's name. Puka Nacua.
I don't know what.
10 catches for 119 yards against Seattle. I had no idea who he was. And then Tutu Atwell.
No touchdowns either.
6 catches for 119 yards. Oh, no touchdowns. But they had 10 catches and 6 catches, both for 119 yards. Their running backs, Cam Akers, 22 carries for 29 yards is disgustingly bad.
Yeah.
He averaged 1.3 yards per carry. And he had 1 touchdown, though. Meanwhile, Kyron Williams seemed to be the better back. 15 carries for 52 yards. Still not great, but 2 touchdowns. That's enough right there for fantasy points.
Whoever have him, I don't know. But
I think he's rostered in like 6% of leagues, if that. So, looks like Jordan Love is going to be the next Rodgers for them, yeah.
And that Green Bay fans, they say, okay, they got a second pick, you see, for the Jets, I'm sorry.
And they gave away Rodgers for 4 snaps.
I'm so, surprised by the Jets fans, like they are so disappointed. So freaking disappointed. They just
watch them turn their back on Aaron Rodgers, though, the moment that, like, if this is Zach Wilson's year to become the guy that was supposed to be at number 2, like, if he turns it around somehow out of nowhere, they're going to be saying, well, why did we trade for Rodgers? That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
I don't know.
Made no sense. By the way, Garrett Wilson within a ridiculous catch last night. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. But football's in full swing now. We'll be looking more and more at football.
Every single week, I'll just watch on Thursday Night Football. I don't know who's going to play, but...
Oh, Eagles and Vikings this week. Vikings are at the Eagles.
That will be interesting.
That will be a good game. Moving on, though. There's like 20 games left, I believe, if that. MLB. The National League right now, as it sits for the playoff picture, you have the Atlanta Braves number 1, Dodgers number 2. Those will both be bye weeks for them, or bye matchups. They're not going to play that round. So the winner of... So they're going to be facing one of these 4 teams. 2 of them are going to be facing two of these 4 teams, excuse me. Brewers are number 3, Phillies are 4, Cubs are 5, and Diamondbacks are 6. Me and you didn't expect the Diamondbacks to even be in here.
No.
We didn't expect the Cubs to be in here.
No.
We did expect the Phillies to be in here. I don't know, and I think we expected the Brewers to be in there though. Now, American League. Yeah, the Baltimore Orioles went from one of the worst teams the last 3 years to the best team in the American League out of nowhere, and that's not doing any justice because Houston lost Altuve, and then they lost
Jordan
Alvarez.
And then some pitchers as well.
But then they traded for Verlander, and they turned it all around. But they're not that far behind Baltimore either.
No.
And they're number 2. So then you got the Twins number 3. They're going to run away with the Central. Cleveland's not catching them. White Sox have been eliminated from that tension altogether.
Yankees and Red Sox.
Yeah. And then 4 seed is Tampa Bay, 5 is the Blue Jays, and 6 is the Rangers. Now,
Rangers are freaking struggling.
They are, and that's where it gets interesting because if you look at the American League right now and you look at the standings for the wild card, Seattle is only a half game back on the Rangers with, God, I don't even know how many games are left. I believe it's 20. Let's do some basic math real quick.
That would be the biggest disappointment of the Texas Rangers franchise. Was one of the best records in the American League.
Yes.
And they are going to miss the playoffs. Maybe. That will be the biggest disappointment.
There's 18 games left.
18 games left. That will be a big disappointment for the Texas Rangers if they miss the playoffs.
Especially after they traded for Scherzer.
Yeah.
And they signed DeGrom in the offseason. That's the thing you got to watch out for. Next year you're going to have Scherzer, you're going to have DeGrom, and you're going to have Nathan Eovaldi next year. That is a big rotation. Now, again, can they stay healthy? We'll wait and see. But if they make the playoffs now and get some experience, that's going to be even better for them next year. They might even be a more dangerous threat next year.
We'll see.
Now, Boston is 6.5 back. Yankees are 7.5 back. Cleveland and the Angels are both 12, and Detroit's 13 back. Chicago, Oakland, and Kansas City are all eliminated. Obviously, we expect Cleveland, Angels, and Detroit to be eliminated here.
The Angels, I think, on that position. I know the Yankees are the biggest disappointment, but I'm just talking about the Angels after they made the trades.
And what did I tell you, by the way? I'll let you finish, but I
thought, I thought when they made that trade, I said, oh, there's a good chance. And you said otherwise.
Well, not only that, you brought up trades, which is even better for me because what did I tell you? I said, I think if they trade anybody, it's going to be who?
Shohei.
No, who did I tell you was going to be traded? If they had a trade between one of those two, who would have been traded?
Mike Trout.
And what just reported over the weekend?
Yes, the Angels
said... If Mike Trout went to them and said, I want to be traded, trade me.
The Angels will be okay with that because they want to...
Yeah, they do want to save money, but, I mean...
They have to sign somebody.
They're going to sign Ohtani. They will.
You think?
Yes.
If they trade Mike Trout?
Yes.
Do you think Mike
They're
Trout
signing one of them. I don't
know.
Back to Philadelphia.
No, back to... trade to Philadelphia. You think?
I think that's where I want. That's where I want to see him traded to. The question is...
Bryce Harper, Mike Trout together.
Castellanos. That's a dangerous outfield. By the way, Harper's more the DH now. Let's be honest. He's more the DH. They would have... It's funny because you bring that up. The Angels traded away a center fielder a couple of years ago who used to be on the Angels. Or now he's on the Phillies. Yeah. Brandon Marsh. Can you imagine Marsh, who's been doing really well with them, by the way? Mike Trout, Castellanos in the outfield.
You think Harper will be changed position to first base?
I think Harper's going to go to DH full time. Reese Hopkins comes back next year. They're going to have their first baseman back.
I thought he said he'll be a free agent after this.
I don't think so. Well, if he is, they'll get him for a lower price then because he was out all year. Who knows?
I think he will be a free agent. So, Bryce Harper to first base, maybe, and Mike Trout maybe at DH.
No, Mike Trout will still play in the outfield. They'll put him DH in outfield, swapping more 50-50. They're not going to play him in the outfield like the Angels did this year, where he played like 90% of the time in the outfield. They need a rest. They need to put Harper on more rest and more DH days. So, there's going to be a price there, but again, not too much of a price because he is getting up there in age and he's injury prone. However, he is one of the best players in baseball history, and he will go down as one of the greatest. That being said, on the National League side of it, like we said, we already have the Dodgers, Atlanta, and Milwaukee seem to be the way of getting their division sealed up. You got the Phillies, Cubs, Arizona as a wild card. However, Marlins are 1.5 back. Giants are 1.5 back.
Ooh,
Cincinnati's 2 back.
Oh my God!
This is going to be a race for the finish. And
those 3 teams, it will be interesting to watch for the next 18 games.
Yeah. By the way, San Fran's won 4 straight because they beat Cleveland last night in the walk-off.
I like this playoff bracket.
Obviously, Colorado's the only team eliminated. Supposedly, the St. Louis Cardinals are still mathematically in it. Washington's mathematically in it. The Mets are mathematically in it. They're not making it. Neither the Padres or the Dodgers. Or Padres or
Marlins,
the Pirates.
San Francisco and Cincinnati.
All competing. Cincinnati's probably going to be the one this weekend there. I think San Francisco is going to be good. The problem is I believe San Fran has a couple games against the Dodgers still. That's where Cincinnati's going to have to gain ground. So, we'll see. Any surprises here? Anything you want to talk about other than that?
Who you think for those 6 teams can make the World Series?
I think, I'll put it this way. Let me ask this question first.
Dodgers was a big best record last year. Remember what happened?
I know. Well, let me put it this way. What 2 teams in the National League do you think are going to make the championship for the National League? Because the Phillies were a wild card last year, and they went all the way to the World Series.
I would say Atlanta. For not right now. It depends.
And who's going to be their opponent in the NLCS?
I want the Dodgers so bad.
You want the Dodgers. But who do you think is going to go there? You still think the Dodgers are going to go? So you think the 1 versus 2 seed? Now, I'll say this. If the Rangers don't make it and Seattle makes it, I honestly think Seattle has the hotter hand. Now, they have lost 4 in a row, but I think that they are going to get hot here in the next 18 games. If Seattle can make the playoffs, I could see Baltimore versus Seattle, the 1-6 face each other to go to the World Series. 2 of the most devastatingly bad franchises since 2008. And they're finally turning it around. Wouldn't it be great to see them in their first year of really turning it around to face each other? Now, obviously, that's not the MLB.
You know what would be
pick that they
interesting in
want.
the American League if they make to the championship? Baltimore and Houston. And this is the reason.
Okay.
Baltimore hired the president of Houston Astros like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that franchise with the Astros chemistry mentality for Baltimore versus the actual draftees for Houston playing each other. What do you think?
I still think that if that was the matchup, I honestly hate to say it, but I think Houston has the upper hand.
No, I know. But I'm saying it will be great to see,
That would be a cool storyline, yeah. That's kind of like the Dodgers and Atlanta, the 2 giants of the National League.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman,
Matt Olson got signed, and then you have the NL MVP race between Acuna and Betts.
Acuna.
Yeah, it's one of those like storyline things. But yeah, that would be pretty interesting. So,
but I don't see Minnesota going anywhere.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
With that pitching matchup and stuff, I don't. The offense they have it, but that pitching bullpen is not the greatest.
Anything else you want to talk about other than that stuff today?
I will say this: fuck you, and the fantasy.
You gotta beat me before you can talk shit. Can't talk shit.
You beat me bad, man.
I won in 3 out of my 4 leagues.
You beat me by 50 plus points.
Mm-hmm. Here's the crazy thing. So the one league we're in, and this is what irritates me. The one league we're in, they have the defensive player. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I lost 155 to 141. This is why I hate the defensive player. And if you have a league like that, get it the hell out of there. It does not need to be in there. If you can't draft to the point where you need defensive players to help you win, and there are only a select few elite players that are going to rack up tackles. So I lost 155 to 141, right? My defensive player scored 10 points. Subtract that. I still have 131, right? Cool. He had 155. His defensive player scored 31 points. I would have beat him by 10, 15 points if there was no defensive player. And yeah, I know there's a bunch you can go pick up, and everyone's like, oh, we get DJ Watt. The problem is you need guys who get a lot of tackles. 6 or 7 tackles isn't going to get you much.
Yeah.
His defensive player had 19 tackles.
That's crazy.
And that's the thing. There's only
Who's the defensive player for him?
He had Bobby Wagner.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got TJ Watt. He did good. But you know who pissed me off? The Giants defense. Fucked me up. The Dallas defense.
Yeah.
It fucked me up big time.
Yeah, you got to watch out for.
I was supposed to win that game, but hey.
Well, now Dallas gets the Jets and Zach Wilson, not Aaron Rodgers. So, but well,
good luck on the fantasy next week.
Absolutely, same to you.
Everybody's listening to the podcast and you play fantasy. Good luck as well.
You could probably easily beat a Lizer, but hey. All right, well, we're gonna end it there. Nothing else you want to talk about, right? We're good?
Yeah, we're good. We can talk about, in the future, we're going to talk about basketball. I know basketball is coming soon. It's nothing to talk about, but there's some good, interesting games coming up very soon, after October. So we can talk about basketball, about, signing. I see some signings happen just recently.
Yeah, we'll go into it a little bit more once the season's getting closer, But all right, everyone, you guys take care. We'll hopefully see you next week.
Take care, guys.